Welcome to Green Building Matters, the original and most popular podcast focused on the green building movement. Your host is Charlie Cicchetti, one of the most credentialed experts in the green building industry and one of the few to be honored as a LEED Fellow. Each week, Charlie welcomes a green building professional from around the globe to share their war stories, career advice, and unique insight into how sustainability is shaping the built environment. So settle in, grab a fresh cup of coffee, and get ready to find out why green building matters.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of the Green Building Matters podcast. Every week, I get to interview a green building professional somewhere in the world. I love doing the podcast. Sometimes I get to interview LEED fellows, and that's what I've got today. I've got Tatiana with us. She's in Colombia. She's part of the new 2023 LEED fellow class, and I just can't wait for everyone to hear her story. Tatiana, how you doing today?
Hi, Charlie. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I know we connect. There's some friends in Colombia and Green Build and the LEED Fellow group. And I'm glad that you're on the podcast today. So I ask all of my podcast guests, Tatiana, take us back. Where'd you grow up, go to school and university?
Well, okay. As you said, I was born in Colombia. I am from Bucaramanga, Santander. That is a place in Colombia where women are known to be tough. Actually, that's a bit funny because when I say I'm from Santander, people get like, ooh, you're tough and strong. I graduated from high school in a Catholic and just for girls school called Gimnasio Cantillana. And then I studied Sanitary and Environmental Engineer at Universidad Pontificia Bolivariana, also in Bucaramanga. And then a master's in Civil Engineering and Consulting at Universidad Politécnica de Valencia. That was in Spain. So I started my career actually in Spain in 2008.
Oh, wow. I love that. So born in Colombia, school there, went over for your master's in Spain. So tell us about the engineering, though. Did you always know you might want to be an engineer or, who influenced you there? Did you have any mentors early on?
Well, at high school, they give you like some orientation. They made us some like tests and the results give that I was good at engineering and I was good at environmental engineering. So that was my first clue that sustainability was pretty much part of my life. Okay. I do have mentors, but in a more mature age.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So, okay, that's environmental engineering. It sounds like civil, the environment. What about like buildings or say LEED? When's the first time you ever heard about LEED, for example?
Well, that was when I came back to Colombia from Spain. I started working in a company called Cetri Sustentabilidad. That's a company where I met Angelico Espina and Cesar Ruiz. I don't know if you know them, but they are also LEED fellows. And they were my mentors. And that's where I started my LEED career. I became a LEED Green Associate, LEED AP, and well, that the rest is history. They have taught me a lot. They opened the door to me to know LEED certifications, to know all the sustainable practices, to get in touch with the developers, designers, and all the actors involved in construction. So I would say those were my huge mentors and my first step for my LEED career.
Mentors, early green building heroes in your region. I love that. Because sometimes mentors, right, are someone we read up, we follow their work. Sometimes it's someone we get to meet with. They might open a door or really say, I see something in you and you really should try this. So it sounds like you had some of that. Okay, so sustainability. So tell us a little bit about your early career, and then let's talk a little bit more about some of your proudest accomplishments. So what kind of work were you doing early on? And then as you look back, what are some of your proudest achievements?
Well, I first started working in Spain, but not in LEED certification, but in sustainability in general. I first started working in issues related to water. So I feel like I'm really in touch with the water, wastewater, water treatment, etc. And then when I started working at Cetri, I have the opportunity to work in such amazing projects. I do have like a few that I remember dearly and close to my heart. I work in one project that was OXO 69 here in Bogota. That was my first project that I took from start to finish, and my first pre-certification process and a lot of my first. So I was in a really learning position. And that project was aiming for silver certification at first. And then when we start working it, we raised to gold at the pre-certification stage. But we finally got platinum. And that was the first platinum in Colombia for LEED core and shell. So I think that was like my biggest achievement for LEED certification.
Amazing. A lot of firsts. And I know Colombia now has a lot of green buildings, a lot of LEED. We could talk about edge, living buildings. So maybe let's do that. Tell us a little more about your country. What parts of a green building project are a little easier? Which parts are a little harder? Can you give us a peek into your region?
Well, I think Colombia has grown a lot for sustainability market. Actually, right now, we are like the second country with the more LEED for communities projects registered. That's amazing. That's China, Colombia, and I think the US. So that's really interesting how we see sustainability. We start in a building, right? We start maybe in an office and then it's growing. Is taking a whole community, taking a whole neighborhood to implement sustainability. And I think in Colombia, we have like good opportunities for passive strategies. We have like really good like weather conditions. We have like streams in one day. There's especially in Bogota, we have like the 4 seasons in one day. We don't have like seasons like autumn and spring all over the year. We have them in one day. So we design projects understanding that condition. So I think that's really good for us to pursue certification now that LEED has also grown, understanding that we have conditions that we can use natural ventilation, for instance, that we can have conditioned spaces that we do not need in every case, HVAC system, for instance. So that's really good for us. I think that made us grown in the region.
Thank you. Wow. I know some other colleagues in the region, and it's just amazing to see the LEED for cities and communities. So for someone listening to the podcast, if you're not familiar with that, we used to have LEED for neighborhood development, but this is even more. LEED for cities and communities, mixed use, live, work, play. They even have a section called quality of life. I don't know if you've seen it, Tatiana. For our listeners, LEED version 5, which is in draft, also has a quality of life new category, right? We have sustainable sites on the old program, Energy Navigator. Now we have quality of life. So everybody check that out. What a great program. Okay. So what are some of your other proudest achievements? What's on the highlight reel as you look back so far on life and your career? What stands out?
Well, for us at a personal level, I will have to say that, my son is my biggest achievement. In 2018, my son was born, but he had a difficult birth that caused him some physical issues that needed all of my attention and time along with therapy. So that's the time where I left CETRI and I went to live to Peru. So my husband was working in Peru and I dedicated 2 whole years to my son. Then in 2020, as a family, we came back to Colombia. And in that process, there was a job opportunity at the Colombia GBC. What attracted me to this position was that it was the kind of job that could significantly impact on public policy, education, advocacy, and technical development for the country and the region. So I think me working right now at Colombia GBC, it's also a big achievement.
You're doing some amazing work down there. Okay, so let's talk about present day. Tell us more about CCCS. What's a day in the life of Tatiana today, and what kind of work are you doing?
Well, working at Colombia GBC, there's always something going on. We have a lot of projects. We do have like some regular products and programs. We have the CCCS Academy. So we have a lot of trainings going on. Actually, I'm going to teach the first workshop for LEED for Cities and Communities in Spanish. So that's amazing. We have like other LEED trainings. We have like other topics related to sustainability for different type of audience, or developers. We have trainings for industrials. We have some trainings and so on. We are working right now in interesting projects. We are working with materials platform for Colombian market that's soon to be released maybe in August. So that's something that is going to be really good for our market, just to connect the materials and the products and to make better decisions. That's what we would like to do with that. And there's an exciting project, but I can't give details yet, but it will be innovative. And all I can say is that it will help monetize sustainable projects. So hopefully we could present that on Green Build this year. We don't know that yet, but soon we will give the news.
Well, I'll look for it. Philadelphia, Green Build. Can't wait. Let me know how I can help. We can get the word out on gbes.com. So let's talk a little bit about credentials, how important they are to really force you to learn what's the latest with green buildings, healthy buildings, other programs. And then you're a lead fellow. So tell us about credentials. What has that meant to you? How has it helped? And then tell us about lead fellow. What does that mean?
Well, I think the lead career is an interesting path. Now it's showing how much you have learned and then how much you have accomplished. So when you start as a lead green associate, being like the first step, making the exam, that's a really, well, it's funny because you always have like some anxiety for the test, just to pass the test and have your credential. But once you do, you realize that that's so much to do left. So you study another specialty. Actually, I am lead AP in building design and construction and lead AP in neighborhood development because I like the building, but I also like the community. So that's why I think I did the lead AP in neighborhood development. Although in Colombia, we don't have any lead in the project, just because for the knowledge, just because I really like those strategies, how to be applied. And then when leads for communities came up, so that was pretty much my answers. And then like being a lead fellow, when I was doing all the process, you have like your nominator. Actually, Angelica was my nominator. So I was so happy about that. And Cesar Ruiz was also one of my endorsements. During the process, you realize that everything you have done has led you to that place in that moment, that you have changed so many lives, that you have changed like the course of some projects. For instance, the one that I was saying before that started silver, but then earning platinum. That's something like reassuring that you're doing fine, like that you're doing outstanding action. So I think that's like the other purpose of the lead fellow, that recognition, but also like getting like, I don't know, like conscious of yourself, like conscious of all the work you have done. I was really happy during the process. Obviously, I was really happy when I got the lead fellow, but just with the process, I was really satisfied. I was really enjoying like reading all those endorsements, like reading my nominators letter. That was really amazing. So I do hope that people that are involved in this sustainable construction get the credentials. That's really important, like to show and to have like the recognition of what you know and what you have done.
Well, it's very special. Congratulations on the lead fellow. Welcome to the club. I got mine in 2020. For those listening that maybe have been a lead professional for a number of years, you have to be a lead AP with a specialty for at least 10 years. And it does force you to look back on the highlight reel, your career. Where have you done advocacy? Where have you really maybe done some teaching? Where have you worked on projects and really helped in the community and volunteered? It forces you to say, hey, what have I really done to help this movement? And you did it. Congratulations. So everybody check that out, lead fellow application. So, okay, let's keep moving. Let's talk about the future. What are you excited about, Tatiana, that's coming at us in this green building movement? What's next?
Well, we will have more new projects looking for a sustainable certification, but also we will see like a lot of existing projects that need retrofitting and that will have like a major renovation that would also pursue for certification. Actually, we at Colombia GBC are always looking and reading like statistics and how many projects and what's the area. And we see a growth over the years. although we have like a small reduction for the pandemic, because of the pandemic, but we are already like getting registering projects every day, every year, more and more. So I think that's a tendency. And I see a lot of opportunity in LEED for existing building, LEED O&M. And LEED B5 gave us like a good vision of what we should do next. We need to work a lot in resiliency. We need to work a lot, not only in efficiency, but also in well-being. Take into consideration the final user. In our case, it's really important our biodiversity, our surroundings, our neighborhood. So I see like B5 it will have a good market right now to register projects.
Well, I agree. The existing buildings, we're starting to focus on those even more. Definitely in Latin America and Europe. Here in the U.S., we've had a lot of laws to green up some existing buildings, and it's great to see that now that's starting to happen more. I love LEED for existing buildings, and you're right, LEED version 5, I'm a fan. Sounds like you are too. It's going to be a good update, coming soon, draft right now. Really next year, we'll have to really start implementing. We'll see how it all shakes out.
I just want to say also that I see sustainability as a part of the academic topics in schools and universities. I see also more prepared professionals and a lot of innovation as well.
That's a great point. I'm glad you added that. Well, the next part of the podcast, I like to do some rapid fire questions, get to know you more. So what would you say is your specialty or gift?
Well, I think it's teaching. I love teaching. I love sharing my knowledge and tell my story, listening what people and what students have to say, what they think in some cases, and how I can change their minds. I have some students that are maybe learning some concepts because they have to, because where they work, they have to learn that by not necessarily believe that is necessary, believe that is a reality. So when I see people changing, that's really amazing. I feel really satisfied when I think I'm creating like true believers in that way. So I do love teaching. I think that's my gift.
I love that. No, I hear the passion there to teach, to influence. One of the sayings I have on my podcast is teach everything you know. It's so important that we share what we know. And I can tell you love teaching. So are there certain topics right now that are really needed? I know in the U.S. Green Building Council, it's not just the 101 level. What is it? 201 level. Why should I care? It's the 301. How do I do it? So are you starting to see more of the advanced trainings? Is that starting to happen more too?
Yeah, but we're having like the basic or the generals, but we also are improving some specialty knowledge and some specialty trainings that people are requesting. So I do think people are prepared, but we can't leave anybody behind. So we still have to do like the basic concept, like the welcome to sustainability sort of training. And then the others more special, like how to do a life assessment, cycle. And those other specialty topics.
Amazing. Well, I love your energy. Do you have any good habits or routines that help you stay on point?
Well, I think it's important to love what you do. My job, my family are my passions. So it's all about balance. So I try to have time for myself, time for my family, but also time for my job. I do love what I do. I don't say that as recording. I said that because I do believe that I'm helping to build a better job, that I'm doing something that will assure my son to have a better planet. So that's really for me, really important to love what you do.
Love that. I know you mentioned you work from home some, you come into the office some. So do you find you're able to be pretty productive, even working remotely?
Yeah. I do come to the office once in a while when I have to, but I do work at my home. So that's really helped me to be like more efficient, not losing maybe time in transportation, going one place to another because I have everything one after the other, one meeting after the other.
I love that. All right, let's keep going here. I'm a fan of a bucket list. Not everybody has a bucket list, but if you had one or two things you could share Is there a certain place you want to travel to, some kind of adventure you want to go on? Maybe you want to write a book? What are a couple things on your bucket list?
Well, that's funny. Now that you mentioned writing a book, that's something that I haven't said before, that I actually also study pastry. I'm a pastry chef. So I would like to write a book like called Sustainable Cooking for house cooking, sort of a circular cooking at home, something like that. I think restaurants have it like really thought that you don't lose anything at the restaurant, but you lose a lot of food at your home when you prepare any recipe. So if you use half or something, what happens with the other half? So that's something I would like to do. I don't know. It doesn't have to be like sustainable construction, but it's sustainability.
Sure. I would buy that cookbook. So you write it, I will buy a copy. That sounds amazing. I don't think I've seen one like that. What about travel? Is there a place you want to go back to or a place you want to visit one day?
Well, I do love Spain. I will also, I would like to go back, actually. I have been there for vacations, but I do have a lot of friends there that I would like to visit. And just to stay there maybe a month, I would like to go to Spain and specifically to Valencia. That's such a great city. I love that city. It gave me some of my greatest experience, really good food as well. So I will go back to Spain.
I've not been to Valencia. I've been to Barcelona a few times. I can't wait to go back to Spain. Well, just a couple more questions here. I'm loving our conversation. I love to ask my podcast guests, is there a book you'd recommend? It doesn't have to be about buildings or a documentary or a podcast. Just, is there something you'd recommend?
Well, I am just finishing one book. It's a thriller. It's called Our House by Lewis Candlish. Well, I do love thrillers in movies, in books, not in real life, just in fiction. And I also like sci-fi. I'm sort of a weirdo, so the three-body problem. And I also read one about leadership. It's The Leader Who Had No Title. That was a really easy book to read. It's really short, but it's really easy to understand and to develop like basic leadership skills. So maybe those are my 3 recommendations.
Oh, those are fantastic. No, we need some fun books. Work is so serious. The work we do can be fun, but it can be heavy. And I love that you escape with those kind of thrillers and sci-fi and sure, leadership. It's so important. 2 more things. So as you look back on your career, is there any career advice you wish someone would have told you earlier?
Well, actually, last year at Greenville, when Ayana was talking, she said one advice that I think that will be really helpful, and it was find your people. What you do is already hard, is challenging, not hard, but challenging. So you need to find your people. You need to feel not only comfortable with who you're working with, but you need to feel inspired, So I think find your people is something I always say to someone when asked me for any advice. And I have another one that I heard recently that's really funny. I think it was Denzel Washington, the actor. He said, don't confuse movement with progress. And I think that's really amazing because I think in the times we're living right now, we are really busy. We're doing a lot of stuff. But he said, being busy or being active doesn't necessarily mean that meaningful progress is being made. So that made me think a lot about all the things I'm doing, what is really doing something or accomplishing something, not just doing stuff like moving around. And also moving around makes you tired, but gets you nowhere. So that was really, really good. And I think that will be my catchphrase.
What great advice. Holy cow. I love that. I hadn't heard it said that way. Thank you. Wow. Okay. I'm having a blast here getting to know you more. Last question as we wrap up. Let's say someone's listening to this podcast. They're getting really inspired by your story, your journey, civil engineering, your time in Spain, your cookbook coming soon. And you know what? Next thing you know, they're jumping into the green building movement right now. You and I have been doing this a long time, but let's say someone's jumping in right now. What words of encouragement do you have for someone that's just now starting the green building movement? Any words of encouragement for them?
Well, over my years of experience, I have learned that sustainability right now is the only way to do construction. Not only like a responsible way, but the way just to do it. We are facing a lot of challenges right now, economic, social, environmental challenges, that when you see sustainable construction, there's the answer. There's the solution on how to do things better, like a win-win situation. You just have to think outside the box. Don't do things traditionally, because that's not sustainable. That's why we are where we are. And doing things different makes you see other type of results. And also you grow with this. You learn from your peers. You learn from other designers. You learn from other type of experience. So first, I would like to congratulate everyone that will start this path. And hopefully this could inspire you to keep going and also to spread the voice, because we need to be more and we need to progress, like Denzel said.
Right. That was really cool. Find your people. I heard that. Think outside the box. And already, congratulations, you've made a great choice. So that's our podcast. I've loved interviewing you today. Keep up the amazing work you're doing, not just in Colombia, but in the region. And everyone listening, please connect with Tatiana on LinkedIn. Reach out, say hi. Thank you for being on the podcast today. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Green Building Matters podcast. At gbes.com, our mission is to advance the green building movement through best-in-class education and encouragement. Remember, you can go to gbes.com/podcast for any notes and links that we mentioned in today's episode. And you can actually see the other episodes that have already been recorded with our amazing guests. Please tell your friends about this podcast. Tell your colleagues. And if you really enjoyed it, leave a positive review on iTunes. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on next week's episode.